her mind to let me go, and I had to wash dishes every noon for all the rest of the summer just to show my appreciation. I even had to do 'em as if I liked to, while I didn't, although I was beginning to have sense enough not to say so. Well, the day Mom finally made up her mind was one of the hottest days we'd had that year. I actually never had felt such tired weather in all my life. You could lie right down after eating a dinner of fried chicken, noodles, buttered mashed potatoes, and raspberry shortcake, and go to sleep in less than a minute. You could stay asleep all the way through dishwashing time. That is, if Mom didn't get tired of waiting for you to come and help and call you. You could even sleep better if you knew that after the dishes were done, there were potatoes to hoe and beans to pick. But if you happened to be going swimming, or if there was going to be a gang meeting, you weren't even sleepy. Well, that afternoon there were beans to be picked, so as soon as I had finished my shortcake, I asked to be excused. Dad said yes and let me get up and go into the living room, which is the coolest room in the house, and lie down on the floor until Mom had the dishes ready. Mom's floor was always clean, but even at that, she always made me lay a paper on it before I could put a pillow down to sleep on. I hadn't any more than lain down, it seemed, when her voice came sizzling in from the kitchen and woke me up. I didn't like to wake up any more than I did any other time. I'd been dreaming the craziest dream. Anyway, it seemed crazy at the time, and anybody would have laughed at it. I never realized while I was dreaming that something was going to happen almost like that in real life after we got to Chicago. I dreamed that I was already a doctor and that I was in a hospital with a lot of nurses in white all around. Also, all around and overhead, airplane engines were droning. One of the members of the Sugar Creek gang had eaten too much raspberry shortcake and had a stomachache, and the only thing that would help him was for me, the doctor, to give him a blood transfusion. In my dream, I was pouring raspberry juice into one of the veins of his arm through a little tin funnel, and he was crying and saying, "I don't like to wash dishes. I don't want to." Well, that was when Mom called me to wake up and come help her. I woke up halfway at first, and I was cross as anything, which any doctor will tell you is natural for anybody when he gets waked up without wanting to be. But my dad, who's a Christian and knows the Bible from A to Z, and not only says he's a Christian, but actually acts like one at home as well as in church. He says the Bible says, "Be angry and yet do not sin." And that means if somebody or something makes you angry, you ought to tie up your anger, the way people do a mad bull, and not let it run wild. Dad says a boy's temper under control is like a fire in a stove, useful for many things. But when it isn't controlled, it's like a fire in a haymow or a forest. Some people actually die many years sooner than they ought to because they get mad so many times and stay mad so long it makes them sick. Maybe my dad tells me these things especially because I'm red-haired, and maybe am too quick-tempered. He says if I don't lose my temper all the time but keep it under control, it'll help me do many important things while I'm growing up. So, as angry as I was for being waked up and for having to do dishes, I tied up my anger as quick as I could. I didn't say a word or grumble or anything. I didn't even frown. Oh, by the way, do you know how many muscles of your face have to work to make a fierce-looking frown? Maybe you wouldn't believe it, but it actually takes 65, our teacher says. And it takes only 13 muscles to make a smile. So it's a waste of energy to go around frowning when you're already tired and lazy. While on the way from the living room to the kitchen to help Mom, I remembered something Dad had told me one day when I was going round our barnyard with a big scowl on my very freckled face. This is what he said. "Bill Collins, you're making the same face while you're a boy that you'll have to look at in the mirror all the rest of your life." Well, that had made me scowl deeper than ever, and I went toward the barn still scowling but not saying anything. The minute I got into the barn, though, I took out of my pocket a little round mirror that I was carrying and looked at myself. And because I was angry, I scowled and made a fierce face and stuck out my tongue at myself and hated myself for a while. Then I saw a big, long, brown rat dart across the barn floor. And in a flash, I was chasing after it and calling old Mixie-Cat to come and do her work and see to it that there weren't so many live rats around the Collins family's barn. What Dad had said didn't soak in at all until one day Mom told me almost the same thing, only in different words. My mom has the kindest face I ever saw, and her forehead is very smooth, without any deep creases in it.